Welcome back. This is Citizen FM 93.7, and you are listening to the Super Citizen at Sunrise. The time is 7:04, and it's time for our newspaper review. We'll be looking at the newspaper headlines, a lot of the stories that have been making the rounds. And joining me to do this is Kemi Asheku. Good morning, Kemi.
Good morning, Ainsley. How are you this morning?
Doing great. We also have Philemon Ajakuko. Good morning, Phil.
Very bright morning. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing good. I was just talking earlier about the pieces of glass I tend to see at a lot of junctions on my way to work in the bright and early morning. And I wonder, that means that there was some sort of car crash at these major junctions almost every day.
Yes. It's a madness. Beautiful roads, and then you have people just running their cars like chariots.
So what we tend to have is we have highways, beautiful highways, and then we have to have speed bumps on them to stop us from flying,
running ourselves,
literally flying on the highways.
That's right.
All right, well, we'll be looking at the headlines. What stories would we be talking about? First of all, we have this story from The Punch. Fuel subsidy to end in 2023. This is according to the Minister of Finance. Then we have a story from the Premium Times. 2023, how I will revive Nigeria's economy. The Cable says, court stops federal government from selling Nigeria Air shares to Ethiopian Airlines. And Obi to Soludo, I governed Anambra as a trader. It's your time to deliver as a professor. And this is the way it was couched in the Daily Trust. Let's start with our first story from The Punch. Fuel subsidy to end in 2023, Finance Minister. So the Minister of Finance, Budget and Planning, Zainab Ahmed, says the federal government will do away with petroleum subsidy in June of next year. Now, this is something that she said on Tuesday in Abuja during a press conference to mark the end of the 28th National Economic Summit. The news agency of Nigeria reports that fuel subsidy gulped about 2.5 trillion naira between January and August of 2022. Also, in the medium-term expenditure framework, the federal government proposed to spend 3.3 trillion on fuel subsidy between January and June of 2023. So according to Ahmed, removal of the fuel subsidy is part of the federal government's medium-term plan in the budget. However, she said that the challenge was how to go about removing the subsidy. So this has been the challenge right from 2011. There was an attempt to do so by President Goodluck Jonathan. Timing was as awful as it could have been, 1st of January 2011. But then there have been other attempts since then. We heard the former governor of the central bank, Mohammed Anusi, say that if this subsidy matter is not taken care of, the next government is going to have a really tough time. And his prediction seems to have come true. We are all agreed that we have to look at the question of subsidy, but is there ever a good time to do so, Kemi?
Well, quite honestly, there will never be a good time to remove fuel subsidy, so to speak. There will never be a good time to remove fuel subsidy because, in all honesty, the fuel subsidy has become a cancerous. It has become, I don't know what's going on. Yes, okay, it has become a cancerous disease in our society. As a matter of fact, I saw a video a little while back of a customs officer, quote and unquote, okay, stopping some tankers at the Cameroonian border. So what the fuel subsidy has become is the Nigerian government subsidizing fuel for neighboring countries. And then Nigeria has to suffer because there's so much we can put the money to that we're unable to put the money to. And we're just there, So I think there will never be a good time. The Yorubas say that is once you get a tribal mark, you don't start saying maybe I'll cut it this way or I'll cut it. You just go pew, So yeah, it's going to be painful, but at the end of the day, I think more importantly, the government has to do a lot of sensitization. The government has to let the people know, because once the people can buy into the idea of the fact that the fuel subsidy is now a serious problem for government and even for Nigerians, then the people will key into it. So painful a little bit, but we will pull through.
Phil?
I think I consider it a nuisance debating the fuel subsidy issue. I said that because Jonathan administration called it a fraud. Buhari said it was a fraud. And here we are, still in the middle of the subsidy debate. And it also diverts our attention from what the main issue is. Reforming the petroleum sector. And I said it here 2 weeks ago or last week. Subsidies are a part of economic policy all over the world. Up to today, Americans are still paying subsidy in certain areas. Europeans
but it depends on what you're subsidizing.
Yes. So the question is this: why do we take pleasure in debating subsidies? What is the solution? We have God-given resources. There is a way to process these resources. There is a way to transport these resources. And then we wouldn't be talking about subsidy the way we are. I get angry, really. And I don't really want to get involved in this debate about subsidy. If we don't want to do the right thing,
I think that
let us remove the subsidy and enjoy the consequence of destroying ourselves economically.
I think that yes, across the world, the governments, subsidize various things. But you can subsidize fertilizer. You can subsidize seedlings. You can subsidize things that will grow the economy.
Subsidize production.
But
as opposed to consumption.
When you are subsidizing what you have to, what the people are using, and then some people are sending it out. At the end of the day, what he said is that the subsidy actually benefits more of the rich than even the poor, because it's a rich man who has 10 cars, so to speak, or 15 cars, and he has to fill his tanks. A poor person probably just wants to fill their generating set, so that they can run their businesses, wants to fill the tank of one car. So at the end of the day, yes, we have been debating it, but every time the government says, let us take away subsidy, NLC goes up in arms.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
If we say it is fraud, if we say it is crime, give me one person who has gone to jail for it. One person. If it is of this what do we call it now? This grand scale that people are stealing from the system. I agree. Let us agree that is the case. Who is being punished for this grand crime against the Nigerian state?
But Phil, here is the problem. 3.3 trillion. This is what we're spending. This is money going out of our economy. It's certainly not sustainable. It's even a problem because a lot of our budget is we're going to borrow to fund it, and it becomes increasingly difficult for you to justify your right to have that money.
You're not getting the point. There's this popular saying, which I hate to quote because it's like a trite thing now. When you keep doing the same thing and expect different results, then you must be insane. We have consistently done this, refusing to address the principal issues that we incinerate this subsidy debate. Because once you do that, it becomes a non-issue.
Okay, you're referring to building of refineries, refining our petrol in-house.
Yes.
Okay, well, we have the Dangote refinery coming up, even though a lot of people are saying government should not be celebrating that. And also they're saying that if an individual can build a refinery, what has stopped the Nigerian government from doing so? Kemi, what are your views on that?
Well, there is also the part of it where you say the willpower, the government's will, okay? But then again...
Granted, I think it's a little bit of an oversimplification when you say Dangote is an individual.
Exactly.
Because he is a force of business.
He's the richest man in Africa.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, we do have refineries that some of them are a bit obsolete. Some of these things are being worked on. Yes, it should not take this long. There was a petroleum minister who did not come in with the 2019 government. But then again, I have also made a case that we should have more modular refineries. As a matter of fact, if I was to be in government and I was to make some laws or the other, I would say that every state should develop a refinery because governments can afford it. The state governments can afford a refinery. So then that brings us to the willpower. That brings us to government's willingness to do what they need to do. Is it so difficult to grant all states licenses? And so, the crude oil is going there, refined there. Even it saves us from having tankers going up and down and the flaring of and some of them going up in flames or having accident. Yes, there is the question of the willpower. But are we going to wait for that to happen and continue to pay subsidy? That's $1 million question.
Yeah, okay. And I want to ask Phil a question, but before that, Kemi, I would love to hear your views on, our national refineries and the history. We know that we're still spending billions on them, just maintaining the staff. And then all of the money that has gone into the turnaround maintenance that hasn't really yielded anything. Back in 2007, one of the last acts of the Obasanjo administration was to sell these refineries. Funny enough, it was a consortium led by Dangote that won that bid. I think $700 million was the price as at that time. President Yar'Adua reversed that policy under a lot of pressure. And in so doing, probably unwittingly saddled us with all of the money that we have spent all of this time without results. So what do you think the current administration should do? Because at some point you have to take a decisive step regarding these refineries.
Quite honestly, I don't hold brief for government.
I'm not asking you to. I just wanted to hear your view on what you think.
Well, quite honestly, I know that from what I have gathered in the news, I know that the government has decided that, okay, we're not going to sell a comatose refinery. We're not going to get the best deal out of it. We're going to get it working again, get it productive again, and then when we sell, we will make something better from
value.
It. And I know that to the best of my knowledge, right? I know that is what is stalling things, okay? But pending that time, from my little knowledge of chemistry, I do know that refining field is not rocket science. It's actually one of the most basic chemical separations available. So I would say that, well, while they do that, and because we will consume fuel, how about we just fix these things, have each state have modular refineries, and it will make money for the states,
But some people would say the rate of consumption would require refineries on an industrial scale, and so the modular refineries may not be able to fill up the need.
A little of something is better than a little of nothing.
Every little counts. I would agree with that. Okay, Phil, the truth is subsidy removal is just as much a political issue as it is an economic issue. Kemi mentioned earlier, any government that wants to remove subsidy would have to contend with the labor question, the risk of protests and shutdowns that would probably force some sort of compromise. So, as the minister said, it's how to go about it. So, I mean, if subsidy is going to stay, I don't know how we're going to sustain it. But if we're going to remove it, we do have to deal with the political question.
Stanley, I'm the lead team rapporteur for the Nigerian International Energy Summit, which is a partnership between Brevity Anderson and the federal government. Every year we meet for 4 days to discuss all the issues in the energy sector. So there's nothing in that sector that is strange to me. We have gone through the cycle. Let me tell you what the minister said. See, the current minister of petroleum resources, at the last summit, he said, "I am tired of hearing these cries and moaning about the oil sector."
The Minister of State.
Yes, he said that. "I am tired. Don't come here to tell us all these things that are wrong with the sector. Tell us the solution and let's move forward." And to me, it was a very significant statement. The reason I raise my voice and get angry is because we are on a treadmill we just keep talking about something which is so easy to do.
We should just do.
Kevin said it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
People in the creeks are learning to do these things. Fractionalization. We have had this technology since the time of, what's the name, the guy in America, Rockefeller. So there's nothing new in it. So why do we elevate the pedestrian issues in the industry and make such a mountain out of them? Let me tell you something. We do not have the will to make progress. That is just, for me, that is just the issue. The day we make up our minds that we want to move forward, we will move forward, because these things are within our capacity to do. So that is why I feel that it doesn't make any sense to continue to debate this issue. For me, if you want to sell price at 1,000 naira today, go ahead and sell price at 1,000 naira and let us move forward. Let us see what will happen from that point forward.
I don't know how the public is going to react to that.
I don't care about the public anymore. Let us just do it and move forward.
Unfortunately, if you are a political leader, your job is to care about the public.
But who is the problem? Is it the people or the political leaders?
Your job is to care.
And that is why I said there has to be active sensitization.
And active engagement.
And active engagement. The difference between what Goodluck Jonathan did and what they are trying to do now is the sensitization. At that time, it was like a New Year gift, and a lot of people felt that was thoroughly unfair.
Now, I felt the sting of it, really, 1st of January.
But unfortunately, if it had been properly done, if the sensitization, had been done in such a way that the people had bought into it. When you see the number of tankers that are leaving Nigeria, when you see the number of the quantity of fuel that is leaving Nigeria that Nigeria has to subsidize for. As a matter of fact, there are businesses in other nations, our neighboring nations, powered by this fuel that comes from Nigeria, because over there is sold for almost 3 times the amount,
which is another problem.
So
all right, we'll have to move on to the next story now. This one is coming from the cable. Court stops federal government from selling Nigeria Air's shares to Ethiopian Airlines. Now, the details go like this. The Federal High Court in Lagos has prohibited the federal government from selling the shares of Nigeria Air to Ethiopian Airlines. The temporary injunction was given in a lawsuit which was filed by registered trustees of the airline operators in Nigeria. That's the AON. Also, Asman Air Services Limited, Air Peace Limited, Max Air, quite a number of other airlines. Now, the judge said that the government, represented by the aviation minister and the attorney general of the federation, should not proceed on an establishment agreement until the substantive matter of the suit is heard and determined, while asking all of the parties in the suit to maintain status quo. And the judge ordered an accelerated hearing of the case. So Nigeria Air, Ethiopian Airlines, that is a little bit on hold. Phil, what are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts, we have come back to where we started a long time ago. You remember the case of Enron in the power sector, right? A few years ago, went to go and get a company that doesn't have capacity to add value to what we're trying to do. And we know where that ended. There's this other company that came to buy Nitel or manage Nitel during Obasanjo's time. I'm trying to remember the name. A European company. What happened? Nothing. The company couldn't add value to what we're doing. So they packed up. And that's how Nitel, which controls the biggest asset in our telecommunication company, died a natural death. Then we had the privatization in 2013, when these companies came from nowhere and came, bought and all that. Today, 2 or so have been taken up by AMCOM, right? And more will go down. When this deal came on board and I heard Ethiopian Airlines, I asked myself, what on earth? How did we get into bed with Ethiopian Airlines? Great.
But Nigeria Air is supposed to be run as a business.
Yes.
And so anybody can buy shares in it. So
my brother, it's not about anybody buying the access of the country. It is about who has the capacity to add value. Now,
and you don't think Ethiopian Airlines has that capacity?
Hold on. Well, now, there is an issue in that. If you read that story down, you see the technical advisor of that deal was incorporated last year March. Did you read that part?
Well,
and that is a signal. Wait, Kemi. That is a recurring decimal in most of these deals that have failed. You see companies just showing up from nowhere, getting involved in the transaction.
Can I just take us through what happened with the Nigerian Air?
Yeah, please go ahead.
I did have an interview with Yemi Dada, who's an aviation expert, a while back, and here is what happened. Ethiopian Air right now is about the biggest airline in Africa. Right, and they have been able to manage Ethiopian Air. As a matter of fact, they're into other countries' businesses. But the difference with what happened with Nigerian Air, because I think they're getting 40-something%, okay? The difference with what happened with Nigerian Air and the reason why stay of execution has been called is the fact that the Ethiopian Air was the only bidder. When that bid occurred, and that made it a flawed bid, so to speak. And having been the only bidder, the right thing to have done was to now have more bidders come in.
To have more bidders come in, to make it competitive.
Yes, it's not a function of whether...
the capacity.
Yes, it's not a function of the
because
capacity.
I would imagine Ethiopian Air would have
yes, it's not
a certain level of capacity.
And even the you have to also give it to the fact that the minister also has to protect Nigeria's interest, okay? But then it was a function of, it was a flawed bid. And if it was flawed, then the right thing to do is to start the bid all over again and allow all the major players who are also interested, to also come into play. I think that is the reason why this is happening. It's not necessarily about the capacity or whoever is behind the scenes and all of that. It's more or less the flaw of the bid itself.
Let me also raise an issue here. We are having issues with CCEC right now, right? That is a company that has capacity. Right? Because there are two issues involved in this game. One is capacity, which could be different from two, the local components that come in when even companies that have capacity come to Nigeria to do business. Do you understand?
Well, before you finish, let me just quickly remind us, you're listening to Citizen FM 93.7. This is the Super Citizen at Sunrise, and I'm here with Kemi Asheku and Philemon Ajekuko. My name is Stanley Bentu. Now, the lines are open, so if you want to call us with your opinions, what are your thoughts on the stories that we've looked at so far, feel free to call 0903 22 29 797 and 0808 22 22 037 or 0818 22 22 205. You could also send your WhatsApp messages to these numbers and engage us on our social media platforms. So, Phil, you were saying?
Yes. So we have two components that are involved in these transactions. We have the issue of capacity, then we have the issue of local input into the contract. All right. Now, I wrote a piece back in 2009 about CCEC. Now, if you go to China...
Sorry, if you don't mind, what's CCEC?
That's the Chinese company.
The Chinese construction company.
If you go to China, you see the Chinese, they build roads over mountains, right? Now, you bring the same Chinese people to Nigeria, and they are unable to build roads over flat surfaces. Do you understand that? Somebody was there was an article yesterday in the newspaper about the light rail in Abuja. Have you read it? Have you seen any train in Abuja lately? Right? They have finished the first phase. Now they are moving to the second phase, and people were asking, where is the first phase? So the point I'm trying to make is, even when we have companies that have capacity come here, we sabotage ourselves by the nature of the contract we get into.
But that's a whole other matter.
Yeah, but I think
Phil,
that's
yeah.
I think that's too much of a blanket statement. According to the contract between Ethiopian Air and the Nigerian business, or the Nigerian end of it, the Nigerian investors are MRS and SACO, and they have 46%. You know, the federal government has 5%, and Ethiopian Air has 49%. So that's local content.
All right,
the question is,
let's
the bid
Kemi,
was flawed.
Yeah, let me. I'll get back to you.
Have you
Phil, I'll get back to you shortly.
Okay.
Let's just take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Stalin. Stalin, good morning.
Yeah, morning and welcome.
Kemi, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Welcome.
Kemi, this is Buddy.
Hey, buddy, how now? Been a while.
Kemi, the 081.
But then where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from here.
Okay.
081 52205. I think it's not functioning very well. I've been calling the
Okay,
line.
0818. Okay, we'll work on it. Thank you.
Yeah, nobody is speaking it now. Kemi, welcome back. I hope
Thank you, buddy. I missed you too. Thank you so much.
Stalin, welcome back. Welcome to the studio. Welcome to 93.7.
Thank you very much.
For a very long time. Kemi,
Yes,
this
please.
morning, just like what your guest was trying to say, I have the handbill of the NITEL when it was about to be sold. Maybe one of these days I will send it to you. I still have the handbill when it was the good thing that they said about NITEL. I still have the SIM card of it in my house. Keeping it for reference. The people we have, the government, the people who have Abuja, they are not interested in Nigeria. They're interested in their pocket, and that's what they're done. It takes just one thing to change Singapore. Just one person. The willpower, just like what your guest said. The willpower, just like what Stanley said. Just what you also said as a chemistry student. It takes one person who will look in the eyes of the people and say, even if it involves my life, because time will tell whatever shows today, the people will reap the fruit of it tomorrow. But because of the willpower, government who are in position, they came and tell all sorts of stories, and at the end of the day, just do whatever they would do and make their own life better.
Okay.
That is where we are today. It pains me very much that God, just like what we always say, where we are presently, there is no turning back. Nigeria will get better from here. Nothing will make it not to change because the people are tired.
Yeah.
That's what we wanted now is resolved.
All right.
But as you said, the Nigerian air.
Oh dear. Okay, that call in. Oh, we sort of went.
Morning.
Good morning. Welcome. Could you tell us
Thank
your
you.
name and where you're calling from?
Okay, aka Mask Man. King, you welcome back. Eh?
Thank you, Max. Come on. Missed you. Where have you been?
I'm around. Sometimes we are not chance. It's just the fact.
I get it.
My take is going to be on subsidy. Are we sure our government are really subsidizing this fuel because they care for us? I don't think so. Because what the poor man in the rural area, in the typical villages, makes use of out of crude is kerosene. Today, they do not. The poor that are that are lacking are the first to be considered by any government. But today, kerosene is the most costly the part of the things coming out of crude oil, and they say they are doing this because of us. No, they are doing it to enrich themselves and favor those they want to favor with money. That aside, can any person tell me that the money, let me just talk of this administration only, has been using for maintenance? I'm very, very sure if we put them together, they could repair and give you two of our refinery to standard stage, and then maybe give another one a palliative repair. But here we are talking subsidy. This government, look, we should just leave them alone, let them be doing what they want to do. Maybe one day, as we are hoping, God will send us somebody that will deliver us Thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Thank you very much for your opinions on the matter.
Stanley, may I quickly respond to that?
Yeah,
I
okay,
think
go
that
ahead.
one of the greatest challenges that the Nigerian people face is the fact that they think there is a messiah somewhere coming to save Nigeria. From Nigerians themselves. Nigerians themselves have to come together and agree that we want a better country. And in wanting a better country, it's not by words. It also has to do with the actions that we engage in, day out. It's
Active
also,
citizenship.
Yes, it's also not by castigating government. Talk is cheap. Anybody can see anything. It's by what you do each day to Nigeria, for Nigeria, or against Nigeria.
Well spoken. I think democracy has to do with what you do even in between the voting system. But of course, it's understandable the frustration a lot of Nigerians feel, because the impact of subsidy removal would be, a price hike, and then there is the way that the petrol price permeates through society, and during the era of hyperinflation.
Well, my people say
I
that
can understand the frustration.
My people say that if you spend 10 years or 100 years trying to get mad, which day are you going to actually go mad? And I'm sorry, that's the way it is said. But basically what I'm saying is that since 2011, fuel prices have increased gradually, and things will become expensive as a resultant effect. How about we just sensitize the people enough to understand what is coming, and then just go poops. Let's bust the bubble.
But beyond, I think it also has to do with what happens with the money, and the apathy is connected to that. That a lot of people may be willing to make that sacrifice,
Can I ask you a
but they
question?
feel maybe they'll get nothing for it. Okay, just right after this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Could you
This
tell
is
us your
Kennedy.
name? Kennedy.
Yeah,
All right.
from Carol.
Welcome, Kennedy. Please go ahead.
Kemi, good morning. Thank you.
Good morning, Kennedy. Good to hear from you again.
Thank you. Let me quote Kemi. Talking is cheap. That's what she just quoted. And that is why politicians talk cheap. That's why Buhari was quick to say that he's going to build us a refinery, and today we are hoping on a messiah called Dangote, building a refinery for us in Lagos. That's good. That's to say talking is cheap. I want to react on this. Solodo, Peter Obi told him that I govern Anambra State as a trader. You govern it as a professor. We're waiting to see a professor that will govern Anambra State better than Peter Obi. That's because, talking is cheap. And he has been talking very well, Solodo, castigating Peter Obi. It is his turn. And I begin to wonder, we have a lot of professors in Nigeria in various fields. But if you ask me to call professors that are doing well in politics, I will be quick to call Yemi Osibanjo. I will be quick to call the governor of, what's that his name? The one in the north where we have Boko Haram.
Governor Zulu of Borno.
Yes, of Borno State, yes. I'll be quick to call his name. Apart from these two professors in politics that I will dip my hands on my chest to mention their name anywhere, I'm still thinking of that professor that will come and break the record. Thank you very much. We are expecting to see a better Anambra State under somebody that is castigating Peter Obi. Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Okay, thank you very much for your contribution. Kemi, you were saying?
Well, I think I lost the train of thought for that one, but basically, in truth, time will tell. Time is time will tell.
I think
a lot
maybe
of, some
let
of
me
these things.
redirect. We were talking about the impact that this would have, and I said that the apathy and frustration that you may feel may be connected to a long history of promises unfulfilled. If Nigerians knew that whatever money is saved is going to have impact in another area of their lives, if it was certain of that, I think that they would buy into this. But there is that trust deficit where they feel I will be made to pay more, and other aspects of my life, schools will not get any better.
Well, you see,
students may not be any safer.
The thing is, I don't know what it is about our psyche, but the average. Well, I don't think it's a Nigerian thing across the world. People always doubt their government, but at least let the government be willing to sensitize. And at the end of the day, because at the end, if you're paying trillions for subsidy, it has gone beyond what should, And in truth, the people who would dish out these monies that are being saved are Nigerians themselves. So Nigerians have to come together to agree that we need to fix this country, else we will continue to go round in circles.
And we can all agree to fix the country, but we'll have different ways of doing it. And probably that is what democracy is all about. So let's move on to a political story. This one coming from the Daily Trust. Peter Obi, presidential candidate of the Labour Party, has reacted to the strongly worded letter which Governor Charles Soludo wrote about his 2023 ambition. The letter, which was released on Monday afternoon, literally set the internet on fire. In a 4,008-word piece, Soludo dismissed Obi, one of his predecessors, as basically a joker in the 2023 race, saying that he would only deplete the voters or the votes of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party. So Peter Obi says that, he mentioned the company that he had invested in, says that the company is still there and the company is doing well. It's still a part of a global chain. And he said, I quote here, it's not that I am defending comments made by my brother. My brother is a brother and remains my brother. We're very close. I remain prayerful for him of other things of the things of which I didn't succeed. God has given him the opportunity to do it. For me, if there is anything pending, governance, you don't finish. People are still in government in America. So you stop where you stop. Other people will continue from there. I don't look back. He's the governor of my state. He's my senior brother. He's even more intelligent than I am. He is a professor and I'm a trader. He knows more. So he will be able to do this better than I'm doing it. I've done my little work as a trader. Now the professor is there. He will do his own thing as a professor. And he got cheers for making those comments. But does he have a point that maybe the criticism against him were rather severe, and the current governor should just focus on continuing where he stepped off? I will take that answer right after this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
All right, could you tell us your name?
Yeah, Mr. Dave from Central Area.
Okay, Dave from Central Area, please go ahead.
Yeah. Good morning, Ken.
Hi, good morning, Mr. David. How now?
Yeah, I'm good. You see, it's just like a woman that is selling food at the road and her children are minority. Her children are starving. Mama put, but her children are starving. What will you think of that woman?
Very good question.
What will you think of that woman? You in the midst of abundance, in the midst of surplus, your people are suffering. What will you think of this? What will you think of the person that is at the hem of the affair of that very particular this thing? See, anybody that is hoping for Dangote refinery, Dangote produce cement in Nigeria and sell to other African countries at a cheaper rate. But here in Nigeria, we are buying it at the rate of 4,000, 3,000 something. Wait, 4,000. So anybody that is hoping for Dangote refinery, Dangote will do, that is a businessman, he will finish his refinery and sell it to us at a very expensive exorbitant rate. And nothing will happen. There are no consequences to whoever that is doing something in Nigeria. No consequence. Nobody is accounting for it. Nobody will ask for anything. And we, the citizens, will smile, will suffer and smile at the same time. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much there. Interesting point that this is a business, and if there is we were talking about price caps last week. As long as there is a price cap on petroleum, maybe that is one of the things that is preventing the industry from really growing. Dangote coming on board is unlikely to make petrol cheaper. Yes, it's going to eliminate the shipping costs, but how much cheaper is it really going to be? It's probably going to remain at a considerably higher rate. Okay, hello, good morning.
Hello. Morning, Stanley.
All right, please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Okay, my name is Michael. I'm calling from Nasa.
Okay, morning, Michael. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much.
when they always talk about the removal of a subsidy, I want to ask you, if they have not removed the subsidy and we can go to the filling station and buy fuel at the rate of 200 I prove. Now, what will become the fate when they remove the subsidy? Because we don't even know the difference between if they remove the subsidy, how much are they going to pay the liters of fuel? If now, currently now, as we speak, that the liter of fuel can be paid so that, above 200 or something, and you have not removed the subsidy. So if you ask me, they have practically removed the subsidy, but perhaps they have not been able to make it officially. You understand? That is on that side. Coming to the issue of a building refinery, sometimes some of us have been asking this question. If Dangote as an individual can build a refinery, why is it that the government of a country like ours cannot be able to build, even if it is one? And everybody are hoping that when Dangote resume and then everything will be, no, Dangote is a business person. And then finally, for what did the answer will be give to Soludo? I think it's a very perfect answer. And let the supporter also learn from, this man, you understand, with the community is something to reckon with. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Michael. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please tell us your name and where you're calling from?
Michael from Central Area. Kemi, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Michael. How are you today?
I'm very fine. Uncle Phil, good morning.
Morning, my brother.
I don't know the anchor's name. I don't know his name.
My name is Stanley.
Stanley. Good morning. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you.
Auntie Kemi, I love hearing your voice.
Thank
I'm happy
you.
that you're back.
Thank you very much.
What's happening to Uncle Lawrence now?
Lawrence will be here on Friday?
Yes, I think so.
Or even
I'm
tomorrow.
not certain. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. I'm glad that the whole crew is fine. I just would like to talk about the subsidy issue. Auntie Kemi mentioned something that if the subsidy is removed, Labour will put their hands up and all of that. The truth is that, you can't go one way without going the other way. If you remove the subsidy, which is very good, by the way, like Stanley mentioned, there will be inflation, right? The purchasing power of the worker will be reduced. So what government should do is to do it simultaneously. You're removing the subsidy, you're increasing the salary of workers, you're providing palliatives like buses that will be running, at subsidized rates to ease the suffering of citizens. You understand? If you do it that way, I don't think that people would cry. Today, diesel is not being subsidized, is it?
It's not.
Businesses are still, going on. A lot of businesses, a lot of production firms, they run their machines on generator, and so they consume a lot of diesel. Of course, that cost is passed down to the consumer who would buy the goods. So I just feel that it should be done simultaneously. They are removing the subsidy, which is, spot on, because we are subsidizing for almost the whole of West Africa, and even it can be argued that it's the whole of Africa. I know that certain people have also, given statistics about how Nigeria and a country like Philippines, and the Philippines are one of those countries in Southern Asia. The population of Nigeria vis-a-vis their own population, and they are not using half of what Nigeria is consuming in terms of petroleum, in terms of fuel. So those arguments are there, and of course it's very glaring that this subsidy issue is eating up deep into the Nigerian economy, and it's something that should be removed. God bless Nigeria, Kemi.
Thank you very
bless
much.
Nigeria.
God bless Nigeria. All right. Well, we were talking about Peter Obi and his response to Soludo. It is actually, I think it's great for us to have political discussions on issues, and even things that we can verify or not verify, disagree with or not agree with, so as long as it's not done in a manner that is distasteful or that leads to violence, it's actually a positive thing for democracy. All right, let's see who's here. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Stanley.
Good morning. Great to have you here. Could you tell us your name and where you're calling from?
Thank you, Miss Kem. I salute you. Good morning, ma'am.
I greet you, sir. Good morning.
Yes, this is Mr. Godwin O. Abuja, calling from Maraba.
Okay, Mr. Godwin.
Yes,
Welcome.
sir.
Please go
Let
ahead.
me respond to the response of His Excellency Mr. Peter B. to Prof. Soludo, the incumbent governor of Anambra State. I see. I will, like I earlier said yesterday, Peter Obi is a fine gentleman, a politician, an economist by excellence. I would wish him to be very resolute, as well as advise his followers to never take offense. Sometimes it's a way to building him up. Since he has seen the country coming out of the wood, heading towards Zimbabwe, and is about to reposition the country towards progress, and his kinsmen are bent on trying to thwart its effort. I know nobody is God. So, the governor of Anambra is not God to him. We, the followers, are firmly behind him. And come 2023, he shall be the president of Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Phil?
I think when I heard that response, I was very happy. It was a mature, measured response. I also read Soludo's piece. I felt a little bit itchy. Both parties know that investments go through cycles. So there will be a time of boom, and there will be a time where the market goes down. So it is uncharitable to just pick an investment that was done years ago and say, oh, it's no longer worth anything. And as an investment...
Sorry, just a moment. Let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, my brother.
Okay, sorry, could you turn down your radio?
Okay, yeah.
Wonderful. Could you tell us your name, where you're calling from?
I'm Mr. Pascal Okolo. Hello, I'm calling from Maraba.
Okay, Mr. Pascal, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. I just want to comment on the P2B and Professor Soludo. It's very, very unfortunate anyway that a professor can, open mouth and say all this. I read everything he said, and as the other speaker said, it's very, very, some places very discomfort. But I thank God for the manner P2B handled the whole thing. Yes, he has said it all. Professor, you're a professor, he's a businessman. We will see, I'm from Anambra State. And see who is who. And so that from next, after 4 years, wherever we see Soludo, maybe he will cover his face with shame or with masquerade, because I don't even think that he can do 1/4 of what P2B did in Anambra State. Very, very unfortunate, but I thank God. God will help him. And this Nigeria, we pray, everybody is praying for him, that God will just turn around things. We want to have a change, a positive change in this country. Things are not working. No truth. Nothing is, even fuel subsidy and everything, nothing is working. And we don't understand.
All right, Mr. Pascal, thank you very much. God bless Nigeria. That I would say. Let's take this call. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Could you please move away from your radio set or turn it down?
Yes, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Yes, I've moved away. How are you?
Okay, doing great. Please go ahead.
Good. Well, my name is Sali Borgo.
All right, welcome, Sali from Maraba. Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. For those of people, those of OB supporters criticizing Professor Soludo, I think they've missed the point. A professor is always a professor, and by excellence, is also a politician. So he knew everything that Peter Obi did in Anambra State. So he cannot just come out and start, saying things that maybe, to discredit Peter Obi. He is talking on the facts that he has, and this is just little that he has, was able to dish it out to the public. So for the, there was one caller that, I'm not, that said Peter Obi is going to be the president of this country. I keep saying on this your platform, Peter Obi can never be the president of this country. What is the basis of winning an election in this country? What is the spread of Peter Obi across the nation? So the facts are there. So when we get to that 2023, inshallah, I'm telling you, Peter Obi can go nowhere. Presidency of this country is not local government chairman. That is my point for today.
All
Have
right.
a nice celebration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I guess we'll have the answer when Nigerians go to the polls in 2023.
May I just quickly say something
Yes.
about Peter Obi and Governor Soludo?
Please go ahead, Kim.
Peter Obi did react to the investment he made. He didn't react to the aspect where Governor Soludo mentioned his supporters and his followers. That will have been a fantastic opportunity to say, oh, their followers, can you be a bit more, can you be a bit more guided, especially because Governor Soludo's major comment in that particular article was about the attitude of many of his followers, bullying people and trying to shut people down regardless. And it's a democracy. There's a freedom to support who you want to support. And so I think that beyond the investment, that's pedestrian. They will, 4 years, 8 years will tell if Governor Soludo is able to do better. But more importantly, I think that Peter Obi needs to address many of his followers who feel that others can be bullied to support him.
All right, let's take one more quick call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Wale. I'm calling from Area 1.
Okay, Wale, unfortunately, I have just about 30 seconds to give you.
Oh, it's okay then. So
Right.
I'll just be straightforward, okay? On fuel subsidy, I'll support the removal. However, government should try and put in some things in place to assist the citizens. That is that. On the Peter Obi, in all honesty, like Kenny just mentioned, Peter Obi needs to caution his followers. If not, they are doing more harm to his presidency than good. You can't bully people to the presidency. You can't abuse people to the presidency. Let them canvass votes, not bullying people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I would also, in closing, just like to, we should latch on to one of the things that Bishop Kuka said, that we should not be overheated over our support for these candidates. We saw the candidates of the APC and the PDP at the airport and very cordial with each other. We have to get to a place in our democracy where we say, we all agree we want a better Nigeria. Maybe what we disagree on is how to achieve it. So it is not a mortal battle, and we should try to be tolerant of one another, and this is the only way it works. I want to say a quick thank you to Kemi and Phil. It has been quite an exciting session. We'll take a break, but when we come back, stay with us because we'll be looking at the impact of rising food inflation for the average Nigerian and what must be done to address the situation.
I love you, baby. When I did wake up, you give me right. When I did shame, oh baby, you be my pride. Cause I love me run like me, baby. Tell me, baby. Baby, come we talk about me. I don't mind buy me jeans from Yaba. You set my heart on fire. Baby, who care about Dolce and Gabbana? Baby, me, show me later. I will chop off fire. May you know, Vessi, I talk.